Welcome to Puerto Rico English News, the only English-speaking broadcast of local Puerto Rican news and entertainment. Please subscribe. Keep us alive.
The FBI announced that it struck a heavy blow against a criminal organization dedicated to committing fraud and drug trafficking from prison. The feds arrested 29 people, including correctional guards, who used various methods of extortion to obtain money. The extensive investigation lasted 5 years. An organized crime group of scammers called the Group of 27 have been calling Puerto Rican residents claiming that a relative of theirs has been kidnapped and that they must send money to get them released. They refuse to let the victim hang up, threatening the murder of their loved one. The criminals then verbally force the victim to leave cash in a bag in a parking lot. They are very convincing, sinister and threatening, leaving the victim terrorized and in fear for their life and their family member's life. In another scheme, inmates were provided with cell phones by correctional guards. The inmates initiated calls saying they were federal agents investigating a motor vehicle fraud scheme. They convinced the victim that in order to catch the scammers, the victim had to make a substantial deposit of money. Once the victim made the deposit, the defendants put a recording of police sirens and pretended that they were executing the arrests of people involved in the fraud, said federal prosecutor Stephen Muldrow. A federal grand jury indicted 29 members of the criminal gang on charges of influence of corrupt organizations, money laundering, drug distribution and sale, as well as arms distribution and sale. The group was arrested September 16.
Fajardo, Puerto Rico, September 18. The police reported that around 3:54 a.m., a call alerted the authorities to a homicide in the Santa Isidra de Fajardo neighborhood. When the agents reached San Bernardino Street, they found a body on the pavement. He had several gunshot wounds to the chest, the police report indicated. The police identified the victim as Cristian Morales Monet, 21 years old. Bayamon, Puerto Rico, September 18. The police reported that at around 12:30 a.m. a murder was reported in a residence in the Las Febas sector of Bayamon. According to preliminary information, the victim was shot by more than one individual in his home. The authorities reported that allegedly 2 vehicles and several individuals arrived at the scene and shot a person identified as Abraham Serrano Cartagena, 34, who died in the balcony area of the residence. A loaded pistol was found near the victim's body and another firearm was seized at the scene. In addition, they collected casings of different calibers as part of the investigation. The police had reported 428 murders, 65 more than the 65 registered on the same date in 2020.
Condado, Puerto Rico, a tourist was assaulted on Ashford Avenue in the early hours of Sunday, September 19 under threat of being thrown into the Condado Lagoon, police said. According to the police report, the victim alleged that a man approached her with a hand in his front pocket and stated, "Give me everything you have." He then threatened to throw her into the lagoon. The woman gave him her cell phone valued at $700 and then the individual left in a compact 4-door vehicle of which no description was provided, the police said.
Mayaguez, Puerto Rico, the bodies of 2 men with several gunshot wounds were found tonight, September 19, in front of a building in the Marisol residential complex in Mayaguez. Police reported that the incident was reported through a call to the 911 emergency system at around 8:30 p.m. The bodies were found in front of a building in the residential Marisol. The victims have not been identified. The investigation is ongoing and Puerto Rico English News will update the story as more information becomes available.
A judge from the San Juan court issued a warrant for the arrest of 2 tourist brothers on charges related to a fight in Placida de Sanchez on Friday night, when a municipal police of San Juan was injured. The defendants were identified as Ramin Isaac and Raquin Isaac, both from the state of South Carolina. Colonel Jose Juan Garcia of the San Juan Police stated, "The information I have is that 2 people who were in a group of tourists leaving a business started fighting among themselves. We don't know if something happened before inside the business." A San Juan police officer was injured when trying to intervene. Her baton was knocked out of her hand, at which time she used her taser. She was transported to the Rio Piedras Medical Center in stable condition. Garcia indicated that she is being treated for an injury to a tendon in her left hand. The brothers are being held in Bayamon Correctional Facility on $10,000 bond.
Caguas, Puerto Rico, Judge Edwin Flores, of the Caguas Court, found cause for the trial against Jonathan Santiago Cortez this Friday on 2 charges in relation to the murder of his son, the 8-year-old boy Jayden Santiago Figueroa. The Institute of Forensic Sciences concluded on August 11 that the cause of death of 8-year-old Jayden Elier Santiago Figueroa was due to severe bodily trauma. Sitting on the witness stand, the police officer wept silently. Lisandra Aponte Rodriguez, of the Caguas Homicide Division, recalled the scene and the father's confession. The father struck the child, causing him to fall to the ground and convulse. Unable to revive the child, his naked body was covered with a white sheet with drawings of dinosaurs, had bruises on the face, belly, legs and back, as well as a bruise on one of the buttocks that he described as shaped like a hand. He also said that the boy's body had burns on his face, belly and testicles, which he allegedly would have done with a hairdryer when the defendant tried to make him react after the minor began to convulse after the blow.
Bayamon, Puerto Rico, J. O'Neil Gonzales Mercado, accused in the kidnapping and murder of Rosimar Rodriguez Gomez and whose trial began Thursday, September 16, was admitted to the Bayamon Correctional Complex today, Friday, September 17, after Judge Carmen Otero, of the Bayamon Court approved a request from the Pretrial Services Program, PSAJ, in which they asked to be relieved of the responsibility for their electronic supervision. Gonzales Mercado was free under electronic supervision when, in July of this year, a writ of habeas corpus was approved after 6 months had elapsed without the start of the trial for another murder he was charged with. The murder of Sebastián Villanueva Fernández, 18, occurred on June 26, 2019 in Ibanito, Puerto Rico. Under conditions of electronic supervision, Gonzales Mercado had to remain at home 24 hours a day, unless he received special permission. He was found to have violated the terms of his release and the judge revoked his house arrest.
The Justice Department has requested the dismissal of a federal lawsuit against Governor Pedro Pierluisi over the vaccination orders, while also preparing to face an injunction requested by public employees. In a motion before Judge Raul Marshwag, of the federal court in San Juan, the legal representation of Pierluisi and the Secretary of Health, Carlos Mellado, defended the basis for the executive orders and the administrative regulations that established as a requirement the request for proof of vaccination against COVID-19 in certain stores. The lawsuit was filed in late August by Tropical Chill Corp., which operates ice cream shops in San Juan, Guaynabo and Dorado. Alexandra Irizarry, an employee of a pharmacy, Yasmin Vega, operator of a hostel called Hillside Cabin, and Renee Matos, who has worked as a warehouse clerk for a supermarket for more than 3 years.
Fajardo, Puerto Rico, a 6-year-old girl from the Fajardo region died of complications related to COVID-19, increasing to 7 the total number of pediatric patients who have died from the virus since the pandemic began in March 2020. This was confirmed this Monday by the Department of Health, which also added the death of an 83-year-old woman to the total of 3,076 deaths from the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rican actor Jorge Alberti posted on social media that he was seriously ill with COVID-19 and that from that moment he has a different perspective on life. Alberti shared a video where he explained sick with the Delta variant for which he was hospitalized for 2 weeks. It never crossed my mind that I was going to fall for this. I am from the group of those who do not believe in the vaccine, or for one reason or another, I did not want to be vaccinated. I still wanted to wait a while.
In weather news, the rains and thunderstorms associated with the distant tropical storm Peter have begun to register in parts of Puerto Rico, and the unstable conditions are expected to continue until tomorrow, Tuesday, with downpours over much of the island, the National Meteorological Service anticipated, SNM, in San Juan. The humidity associated with Peter has increased quite a bit. We have a trough in the upper levels as well, so the combination of these two factors will generate strong activity of rains and thunderstorms, especially in sectors of the interior, west and southwest of Puerto Rico, said the SNM meteorologist in San Juan, Gabriel Ojero.
Santurce, Puerto Rico, international superstar, Puerto Rican rap and hip-hop artist, Bad Bunny, draws attention for having a drink in a measuring cup. The urban music singer appeared at the San Jose Cangrejeros basketball game dressed in striking rubber boots and carrying a huge measuring cup. Bad Bunny is known for many hits including his popular collaboration with Cardi B I Like It, Like That. These events occurred last Friday, September 17th. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Help us survive.